All right, Smelly Fingernail here with the mid-August update, and we're going to be talking about SpaceX trades today. We've finally been making a few profitable SpaceX call spreads, but primarily today we're going to be talking about this new position I just opened, which is a 290 to 300 spread call debit spread. Expiring January 2028. I bought these for 95 cents, and the max profit on these will be $10 a piece. So we'll talk about this in a bit. Now, briefly, we're going to go over some other stuff in the portfolio. We're finally making a few profitable SpaceX short-term trades here. For example, this one we're up 26K, and on the 110, 120 expiring the first week of September, we're up another 40K. So on the options wise for SpaceX, we're basically breaking even at this point. If you take a look at the year to date, we made significant progress. If you remember in my last video, in the beginning of the month, we were at 750K, so we're crawling our way back to all times high here. We're at 950K. Of course, all time highs was 1,060K. So like we dropped all the way back down to like 500, and now we're on our way back. So, anyways. There's a few other just random bullish trades on AI. We'll skip over those because this is what I mainly want to talk about. The 290, 300 calls on SpaceX. So we bought them for 95. I spent around 50K on these options, buying them for 95 cents a piece. And if SpaceX is over $300 by January 2028, then these will cash out for over $500,000. And I'm considering putting actually way more than this. I want to maybe build this position up to a 150K position that will cash out for maybe 1.5 million. And the reason I think that SpaceX will go over 300K, I'm not 300K, go over 300 is actually fairly simple because like the market has really figured out in the past week or two just how much SpaceX is going to make as a neocloud business, selling their excess compute. Now, the going rate for compute on a per watt basis is $50 billion per gigawatt. So when Elon says that he's going to exit 2026 with $100 billion in ARR from compute sales. That's very easily attainable because you just need to get over 2 gigawatts, and that's definitely going to happen. Like that's not a question about whether that's going to happen or not. Now, in order to get to the valuation that I'm talking about, so let's take a look at what SpaceX needs to achieve. So it's at $138 right now, and it's 1.84 trillion, right? So in order for this company to get to 300, it needs to get to around $4 trillion. This is fairly attainable because if you are monetizing compute at a $50 billion per gigawatt basis, you just need 8 gigawatts of available power, and then you're at $400 billion ARR, and then you just need a 10x multiple on that sale, which is easy for SpaceX to do because you're not even accounting at that point for all the other parts of SpaceX's business. You're not accounting for Starlink, which is the bulk of SpaceX's business currently, and then you're not accounting for the rocket launches. You're not accounting for continued progress on Starship and all that stuff. It's like even on just the compute basis alone, we can get to $300 by January 2028. So the forecast that Elon actually put out himself for 2027 was to exit 2027 with 10 to 15 gigawatts. So we're not even assuming that. We're assuming 8 gigawatts at $50 billion per gigawatt. That's so easily attainable because right now that's what the rate is going at. Just yesterday, for example, Anthropic paid a Bitcoin mining company, Riot, not the League of Legends maker, right? Riot. They paid them $50 billion per gigawatt. That's the rate they're paying for the electricity. So like and that's what Google is also paying SpaceX. Now Anthropic got a much better deal than that with SpaceX earlier this year because they made the deal earlier. The cost of compute is actually going up. So we're not even needing to assume at any point that the cost of compute is going up, even though it is. So like we're just assuming that 50 billion. If you take a look at the token consumption here, this is from OpenRouter. Of course, you can't just take OpenRouter token consumption here and assume that this generalizes because most of the tokens are being consumed first party at OpenAI or Anthropic. But this is a good measure. If you take a look here, last week, the first week of August, 69 trillion tokens were consumed. And at the beginning of the year, we're looking at something like 6 trillion. So like in half a year, the number of tokens being consumed 10x. So like if based off of guidance from the hyperscalers, and if you take a look at how much capacity the other neoclouds are bringing on, the capacity for compute is going to grow maybe something like 3x on a year-over-year basis, and in half a year, demand is going to 10x. So, like, if you assume demand is going to continue to outgrow supply in terms of token consumption, which I think is a fairly reasonable assumption, even at some like pretty high multiples, we're looking at 10x versus 3x. Then, like, you can even assume the revenue per gigawatt will go up, and even like more evidence that the revenue per gigawatt will go up is like the chips that the gigawatts power are more powerful, because right now people are monetizing Grace Blackwell's the GB300s at $50 billion per gigawatt. Now, when they get replaced by Vera Rubins, which is what SpaceX is going to put next year, you're going to be able to generate much more tokens per gigawatt. So the revenue per gigawatt should also go up. So, like, isn't it super easy to get for SpaceX to get to 300 by January 2028? Like, I think this is a fairly reasonable shot. Again, not even including any advances in Starlink, which is like, I don't know. So this just seems like it's quite obvious trade to me, right? So like, shouldn't this be like an easy 10 bagger in basically a year and a half? Anyways, that's the logic for this trade. That's the portfolio update. Almost here at all-time highs. We're gonna keep beating SpaceX. We're like the market has finally figured this one out, so it's gonna be up from here. And yeah, I'll see you again at all-time highs. We'll give you another update perhaps at the end of the month.